Hello, powerful one. Welcome to the continuation and the conclusion of this edition of Inner Growth to Osezuah Elimihe. I knew we wouldn't be able to finish this edition on one video, so I had to break it. Now, today, we are talking about the powers of our mind. Let me explain this to you right now. Your mind is very powerful and it is capable of creating magic and repeating that same magic over and over again in your favor or against you. But you see, when mind is working, it does not see itself as working against you, because everything mind is doing, mind sees it as something that you have approved of. Mind sees it as something that you have called for, because at the end of the day, every action of mind is something you have permitted, either by active permission or passive permission, in which case, the active part, you consciously instructed mind to carry out those decisions. On the passive side, you played the victim, the powerless one, and that crime is not pardonable by the universe, because no human being has the right to feel powerless in this world. Mind was given to you to work with. Mind is a device. It is not the person. It is not the de facto commander-in-chief of the human system. You are the commander-in-chief of the human system. If you abdicate your throne for mind, mind will do whatever it pleases on the basis of your live and lets, your licenses. We said earlier that the human mind is capable of a lot of things. And one of these things is creating the life that you have to experience. And that life has to be something that you have repetitively instructed minds to do, whether ignorantly or consciously. So if you really want to make a transformational decision, you have to start by knowing that you have to consistently repeat this decision to mind. Like children, like your pets, when you are training them to go in a certain way, you have to be firm, you have to be decisive, you have to be focused, and you have to carry that body language of assurance, confidence, knowing that you have a direction. Once mind realizes that you have a direction and you have a sense of purpose, goodness, mind will respect you and begin to knock on your door every time it wants to take a decision that is new, or it wants to repeat a decision that it has taken before with your live and lets. Now, when you get to that point in which mind begins to ask you for decision, it means that you are awake. But what if you are not awake? What if you are consistently absent from the circuit, that you are dwelling in bubbles of thoughts? You are allowing what somebody said to you yesterday, last week, last month to begin to take you on a trip. You are involved in shame. You are involved in blame. You are involved in recrimination and regret. Then you are not present in the circuit. Life must go on. Mind will not wait. When you are involved in those kind of games, what mind does is to just take the next step. It is a case of life not waiting. Life does not wait. It is consistent motion. That is what makes life. Therefore, for you to be able to have a life of your dream, to transform the life you have now to something better, you have to be on the alert. Now, you may not be able to stay alert 24/7, because it's a level of training that will take years for you to get to. But what you do is to program mind with a consistent set of programs that you can load into mind, and mind can run those programs. Even when you are alert, they will run it and you will know that they are running those programs. You can say, okay, stop, do it this way. You can begin to vary the program. But if you are not alert to be aware of those programs running, because you have consistently done it over a period of time, say 3 months, and mind has grasped it, mind will run with it and you will not be present. You see that things are just working in synchronicities. For example, those of us who are writers, when we wanted to start writing, it was difficult. We didn't have an idea how to start, how to create characters, how to create scenes, how to create settings, how to create plots. All of these things were problems for us, but we started practicing. Our first drafts were not the best of things to look at. But over time, having spent over 10,000 hours of writing, it became second nature. I remember a job that I did, the job I did recently, when a particular client wanted to do a social media kind of teaching. And they were asking for like 65 scripts of not less than 3 minutes per episode. So you have to look at 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. And the job was given to me sometimes. I said I will do this thing in 2 weeks. And they all looked among themselves. We are talking about a minimum of 3 minutes per episode. 65. I said, yes, I'll do it in 2 weeks. We drew a timetable. And my contact who connected me these days, he said, Osezuah, are you sure? After we left the meeting, he says, Osezuah, are you sure of this? I said, yes. Actually, 4 days less of 2 weeks, the 65 scripts were ready. And then it was not even 65 anymore, because when you start writing, you lose count. You just keep writing as the ideas come to you. I wrote those things and they couldn't believe it. They were looking at it. Really, they were reading. It took them over 2-3 weeks to read them, to come back to say, yes, we approve. But how could somebody do that? They were now saying, okay, I have a team of people that are writing for me. I didn't want to argue with them. Whatever they say, they could say. But I know I did that thing in less than 2 weeks. It's about commitment. When you want to start anything, it's hard to start. But once you start and the juice starts flowing, you see them might get into a swing and you start having ideas just pouring. You won't be able to sleep. Because as you are trying to sleep, more ideas are coming. And you want to just knock them. It is a case of practice. Now, mind requires practice for you to be able to get it into shape. Because if you want to lose belly fat, you have to do the right exercises on a regular basis. If you want to grow body strength, you want to be very powerful and firm, you need to do some exercises like planking, push-ups, etc. You need to do these things that will strengthen your cardiovascular, muscles and your entire muscles. You strengthen yourself, you build yourself in. When you are starting these exercises, you feel as if you cannot continue. But keep pushing. The harder you push, especially if you can push beyond that point that looks like your elastic limit, and you push beyond it, it will burst open a new capability. And you see that you have a new stretch. It's like when you're jogging. You're jogging, you've done like 500 meters, and you think you cannot go on. If you stop at that moment, you have just shortchanged yourself. You have to push. When you push, you see your last wind coming up. And after a few minutes, find out that you have more energy to continue. It's how it is. Like fasting also. Fasting taught me that the first 3 days of fasting is the most difficult. If you really don't do a marathon fast like we have done over the years, 8 days at a stretch. And then the first 2-3 days are terrible. On the third day, you think you are passing out, you are gassing out, you think you don't have power anymore. If you push beyond the third day, you enter the fourth day. I'm not saying fasting when you break in the evenings. No, I'm talking about round the clock fasting for 8 days. When you get past the 5th day, you will realize that a sense of power comes. You can actually do push-up, you can do planking, you can do exercises that are rigorous within that period. That is the power of the human being. When you think that you have gotten to the end, that is when the beginning starts. Human beings are elastic in capabilities. They cannot be brought down. The human beings that are brought down are the ones that have accepted that they can be brought down. But if you accept that you have potentialities that have not been touched and you are willing to tap into them, this is where you come in as the human being. I am extremely powerful, this I know. But right now, my senses are telling me that I am weak, that I cannot continue, but I do not agree. I am summoning all my faculties to action. I tap into the untapped segments, the untapped sections of my being. I call on all the powers in me to come into activity, to wake up, to rise and work, because this is the purpose for which they were given unto me. I choose to be fully explored. I choose to grow, to expand. I have no elastic limit. This I know, and I want proof of this right now. You see, the human being that tasks their potential, that tasks their powers, they are the ones that see the other aspects that they don't think existed. There is no pain that you cannot stand. There is no circumstance you cannot accommodate. It is only ego, selfishness, and a sense of victimhood that prevents you from being able to think outside the box, and then you think this is too much for me. There is nothing too much for you. There is nothing too much for you to bear. There's nothing too much for you to create. All you need to do is to be consistent. Now, I've told you something, that you cannot be wired by society. Although you have been wired by society, there is a channel of connection between you and society. You need to be conscious of it. Most of us are not aware of it. You are sitting down, you are lying down, you are anywhere, and then you notice that there are some charges that are waking up on your inside. And you know that these charges are powering certain negativities. And you know that these things are not auguring well for you. Those charges tend to waken up some vices, some habits that you'll be trying to conquer. Even when you try to conquer this habit, those charges come up to power it. And when they are coming, they are very alluring. They are full of promises of pleasure. And then you succumb to them, then you are going to go the way of the world. A lot of us have chosen to become extraordinary. We have chosen to become super. But you see, life tends to charge and test us. We don't know how it happens. When you choose to become a superhuman, you are choosing to conquer those things that you could not conquer before, those things that led you to perdition. You have chosen to conquer them. You have not chosen to run away from them. It's not escape. Along the line, you're going to see more of it. Because when you think you have stood firm, that all things are working, oh goodness, life is going to use your friends. It's going to use your network to throw things at you in a very enticing way in order for you to capitulate. But you see, if you can say no, now this is it. When you want to say no to anything, you don't just directly say no. Some say resist the devil and it will flee from you. That is not spiritual. That is not true. Ask anybody who has been fighting demons in their lives, who have been fighting negativities, they will tell you that that thing does not work. Because the more you resist, the more the thing persists, the more the thing pulls back to you. Because the resisting energy is a negative energy. And negative energy is given to negativity powers negativity. That is how it goes. Therefore, it is not to resist the devil. Maybe the translation of that portion is supposed to have read, ignore the devil. That is the ruling power, not resist. Okay? Ignore the devil. Not just that first time. It will persist, it will push at you. Keep ignoring, it will fizzle out. Try it on children. When you ignore children, they will begin to study, okay, is this person real? Why is he doing this? They keep pushing, they keep pushing. Then some of them want to test you, they start crying. They throw tantrums, very stubborn ones will throw tantrums. But if you can ignore all of them, you are going to experience one magic. They might slip on the spot right there, or they might walk away. That's what children do. In the same way, if you can ignore those things, those suggestions that have been thrown at you, fantastic, over time they will fizzle out. The second thing is to put the suggestion to task by negotiating, by talking. You know, I said it before, be careful how you use that technique, because if you are not grounded in the ways and the psychology of the mind, how the mind functions, the mind will tackle you and bring you down, you fall for it. I remember when I made the vow of chastity in 2020, I said, this no more. When I made that vow, many challenges started coming to me. Females around me suddenly became very attractive. Females that I couldn't have looked at under normal circumstances became attractive. Mine started showing me aspects of them that I never saw that were appealing to me. I started noticing those things. It was a tough period for me. When I was able to cross that line, the next thing was that people who were ordinarily would not have given me attention before, whom I was trying to bring into my circle on the intimacy path, they started making advances. They started sending me messages, calling me, how are you doing? It's been a while, all those kind of things started happening. And then when I stepped out, I noticed that I easily attracted the attention of the opposite sex in a very, tempting manner. But you see, I kept holding on. Then sometimes I would just be in the room, I'm just reading or lounging or something. There will just be this suggestion will just come. Look, you look so gorgeous. You should get a lady at this time. I will ignore. At a point I started doing so. I said, okay, fine. There's something wrong in me getting a lady at this time. You know what? You know my spec. This is the kind of lady I want. If you can get that lady to me right now, this very moment in this room, then it will happen. I knew for certainty that there was no way the standard of the lady I was giving to mine could be magicked into my room at that particular time. So I was giving mine a tough assignment, which mine could not surmount at that time. Each time mine came with a suggestion, that's what I did. Now, he wanted to take me on the area of fantasy. For you, you just think of the car you want to drive and you just imagine yourself in that car. Suggestions started coming in that light. You know what I did? When mine brought the suggestion, I would say, okay, fine, guy, that's a beautiful one. You know I love great cars. I love all these things. You know what you're going to do? If I can have that car right now in my garage, trust me, man, I will take you on a ride in that car. We will enjoy it. Just make it happen now. We will do it. But because mind cannot do it at that point in time, mind, let's go. So when mind gives you a suggestion, think of ways to silence mind by giving mind a counter suggestion. Don't forget one thing. Mind was designed to take instructions from you. But you don't go telling mind, hey, you were designed to take instructions from me. You are wearing the crown on your head and you are still screaming, I am the king. You failed. But you have to show it with action. When the mind makes a suggestion, most times because you've been falling for it before, it's no longer coming as suggestions, they are coming as instructions. Tell mind, good. This is so good. This is beautiful. You know, I like it this way. That's why you're doing it. Fantastic. But do this now. Then I will do that. Now, mind realizes that you are reminding him of his role in your life as the one that takes instruction. Then, over time, if you keep doing this over and over again, mind will go back to the back seat and allow you drive. Okay? It takes a while to put mind in that state. When I did this for like 3 up to 2 months, thereabouts, mind stopped giving me suggestions in those areas and just calm down. And then I started having some breaks and I started having a form of liberation. Then I began to see the power that are inherent in being able to be in love with your life. Then I began to see that those energies that I used to use to chase all those peripheral things were useful in other areas. That awakening was turbocharging. So what I'm trying to say in earnest is this. One, besides not allowing the externalities of the environment to hit at you, also understand that the environment has already lined up and laced within you certain characteristics of itself that generate the mood, the habits that make you subservient to the environment. What you now have to do after cutting away from the physical environment is to now begin to decongest your mental environment of the vestiges of the physical environment by gradually allowing those information to come to you. And when information comes to you, you look at the information in the eye and ignore it. There's a difference between looking at something and not engaging that thing, and looking at something and talking to it. 2 different things. So the first one is to look at those things, those charges that are coming to you in the eye and just ignore them. That is one. That is how to deal with the charges. Then when mind is giving you suggestions, knowing that you are busting these bubbles, mind starts talking to you directly with suggestions here and there in forms of sensations and all of that. We know you do to mind, give a counter instruction to mind, because you are supposed to talk to your mind. Okay? Your mind is not in negativity, so you can talk to your mind, but the things that run mind, the data that run mind, they are the negativity that you don't have any business with. They are aliens. Ignore them, they will fizzle. Then, in the case of mind, give mind counter instructions in a friendly manner, not in a judgmental or accusative way. Let mind know that you love it and you appreciate it, but this is the new way you want to go about your life. You cannot say you want to change your life in any area and still allow yourself to go the way you used to go. You have to now be present in the moment. This is why we recommend meditation, daily meditation. That's why we recommend affirmations and play them back, read them. Then gratitude is key. I've done a lot of videos in this area. You can see them on this channel. There are a lot of them on meditation, stable datum, and the rest of them. Study them and know how to use them. Even how to make use of your sleeping hours, because in sleep you actually reprogram yourself. Few minutes before sleep, when you are dozing off, and then after sleep, you can actually repeat affirmations till you sleep off. If you really want to change a certain aspect of your life, for example, if you are remembering your negative past and they are giving you some form of shame and blame, and if you cannot stand it, what should you do? Just sit down somewhere and begin to say to yourself, I am beautiful. I am wealthy. I am worthy. I am perfect. Perfection is my nature. I am strong. I rise above my physical environment. Truth is what makes sense in my life. Truth is what takes root in my being. You say things like that are positive. Don't go and start antagonizing, like saying, I am not open to shame. Shame is not my portion. You don't need those things. Because by saying those things, you are affirming the negative. Go the other way around. If you are feeling shame, go to the area of worth. I am worthy. If you are feeling fear, say, I am courageous. If you are feeling weak, say, I am strong. Those are the things you do. It's even in the scripture. It says, let the weak say, I am strong. So don't go and emphasize areas that are already damning you. Emphasize areas that will change those things, that will kill those things that damn you. That is the power you have. A lot of us have lived our lives from birth till now without even knowing that there is nothing that has happened to us that we cannot change. that there's no status we find ourselves in that we cannot reverse. It takes discipline, it takes focus, it takes consistency, but it will happen. And in all of these things, you have to add the mix of belief. You must believe that you can achieve it, that it can happen. You must also believe that you have all the powers of the universe on your side. Okay? Don't see yourself as unworthy. Feel yourself worthy that you can change your fortune and it will happen. Be open to help. Even ask for help mentally, internally, in your prayers, in your affirmations. Call for help and help will come. I'm not saying go and call for help from a specific direction. Just call for help, leave it open, throw it out there, and you see help coming your way. Powers are within you. You are very powerful. You are strong. You can cause a reverse of fortune when the life you are living is not acceptable to you. Decide now and be prepared to do the work. It is inside. It is within you. Helps are available if you will be open to it. God bless you.